Okay, so in my last video, I came up with my best epiphany by like doodling, and I kind of realized that's like maybe a form of like channeling messages or whatever. So my question leaving at the end of my last video was, why are we evolving? What's the point of a species evolving in the first place? Like, why do we need to do that? What's the point? Like, I don't get it type of thing. I need to start doodling. I already don't know what I'm talking about. And I mean, the consensus that we came up with last video was we have to have darkness in the world because darkness equals desire, which equals evolution. But why though? Why though? Why do we need to evolve? Why is it hardwired in us to want to evolve? And are other species the same on other planets? And my other part of the theory was, well, if we are just like a speck, like in Horton Hears a Who, if that's all we are, but that speck is, you know, affecting other things, what if there's alternate universes that, you know, aren't even in this one? Because actually, this is crazy. So when I was on the plane, I watched Interstellar, the movie, and in this movie, it like answered so many of my life questions because like my whole life, I never understood why I always saw signs and numbers and synchronicities, and like I always have weird stuff happen to me that's like straight out of a movie. Like, this can't be real. And I'm thinking, okay, if this is intuition, in Interstellar, the dad in the movie ended up like basically finding out that he was the one giving himself signs in the whole movie. And I'm thinking like, okay, I potentially live in an alternate universe sending myself these signs. Like, this isn't anything outside of me. If I'm sending myself signs in other realms, then why are there other versions of me that exist in other realms? Why is that happening? Why am I doing work in other parts of the universe? Like, I don't get it. Why are there multiple versions of me? And is that a collective energy? Are spirit guides or ghosts just other like parts of our soul energy in other time periods? But why though? Like, I don't get it. What's the anomaly? There's fish jumping, it scared me. Like, why though? Maybe I should rewatch Interstellar. Maybe that's the message in this video, is to rewatch Interstellar. I might just go do that and then come back to this right now, because that could be my intuition talking to me right now. You know what? I'm actually just gonna listen to myself right now and go watch that movie, and I'm just gonna cut it here. Cut. I just watched the first half of Interstellar last night, and I'm watching the second half this morning when I'm awake. But I realized so much. I cannot believe what I realized and what I looked into, and I still have more research to do, so I'm not going to spill the tea right now. It's so crazy that I just think, oh, Interstellar, oh, let's go watch it. And all right, those are my answers. Those are straight up my answers. So, life is crazy. Listen to your intuition. I just don't even know what's going on. I'm going to be all over the place. This is going to be just a bunch of random spurts of information. This is not going to be organized in any way because my brain is not an organized place right now. This is literally a never-ending rabbit hole. And what I was thinking also is like, okay, but this is all like science is man-made concepts. So is this language, you know, like why am I even thinking about all this? But then I was like, no, this is called evolution. Information is evolution, and like we created a language in science so we could further understand ourselves, and this is me further understanding my humanity, so like it's fine. Okay. Anyways, so basically the root of all evil is boredom. When you are bored, like, inspiration is our survival. Like, at the end of the day, you can go one way or another when you're bored. You can choose to remain the same, self-sabotage, suffer, or you can choose to evolve, prevail, level up. And you get to choose. It's the fear and it's the love. It's the duality. Are you going to go into the light or stay in the dark? So I guess when you break it down in simple terms, it's really that easy. It's like, when you get bored, what do you go do? What's your first move? And that's going to like dictate how your life goes, low key. But I also realized all of this is bigger than like us individuals. Like, yes, we have to learn how to get along as a collective in order to like, you know, transcend the frequency of the entire planet. Energy can't be created or destroyed. So if it can only be transmuted and transferred, it's up to us to define like how we're going to literally transcend love or fear. And that's like kind of annoying that it like takes so much effort to like think about and like deal with it ourselves through these thoughts. And like the fact that we literally made up these thoughts, like, oh wow, it's so like it's so crazy to comprehend. With my whole evolution theory, where I was like, why are we evolving? Why are just multiple species around the galaxies like evolving? Like, what is the point of evolving? But I realized we don't have a choice. And I might never find an answer for this, because I don't know how the gravitational pulls even got started. You know, I don't know what that was derived from, or how the planets got here. Like, I'm not totally sure about that one. I don't really understand how the entire universe came to be, but if I'm following just the laws of science, basically, because of certain gravitational pulls in the space that we have, that's how we, like, as humans perceive time, but we literally can't go backwards. So if we don't evolve, again, we suffer. Our only option is to evolve. And we can evolve into destruction. There's so many ways that we can evolve through fear. Every invention too can create fear. Everything is duality. It's like there's a price to pay for everything. And I was thinking we were going to be able to transcend it all. We can evolve it. Like I said in my last video, fear fuels love, which is so crazy, because if you think about it, so the sun is fear. In astrology, the sun is the ego. And the moon represents love. It's energy in motion. The moon is emotions in astrology. But this is the kicker. We can't live without the moon or the sun. Obviously, we know we can't live without the sun. It's our life, it's our vitality, it's our heat, it's our warmth, all of that. But the reason why we can't live without the moon is because it's positioned perfectly in our solar system at the perfect angle for our Earth to sit the way it is. Now, if we didn't have the moon, it would turn 45 degrees on its side and be spinning like Uranus, and we wouldn't be able to have habitable life. So with that, the moon doesn't have its own light. The moon is only reflecting the sun. And we don't technically need the moon for its light. Like, yeah, it's nice, and we have like pretty night sky. Like, thank you, thank you moon, thank you Luna. But like, we don't need her light to survive. The sun comes first. So the sun is fear, which means if we had to pick one, because one can't exist without the other. I used to think that they didn't need to coexist. If I had to pick one that came first, I would pick fear, which is crazy. It's so crazy that fear fuels love. The sun fuels the moon. Like, the sun comes first. We need the sun. We need fear. We need fear. And I'm just like, it's the way that we use the energy. It's not that fear is bad, because again, there's no right or wrong. I've been out here saying fear is bad, like being so crazy about it, but like, it's the way that we use fear to thrive. Like, oh my god, a survival instinct can be our source of inspiration. And I was thinking, can attachments actually fuel us? Because I've always said attachments are bad. You shouldn't be attached to things. But attachments can make you do good things, like in Interstellar. The reason why he was so fueled to finish his mission is because of his kids on Earth. And that love for them and that attachment made him stronger. And, you know, Dr. Mann was saying that, which I never thought about it that way. So that really opened my eyes a lot. This is what I'm wondering now. I was trying to figure out, like, why is our species still struggling so much? And I mean, this could be far-fetched, but Einstein says that time moves slower when it's near a gravitational force. So, for example, the way that our solar system's set up, time can be longer on other galaxies, and things don't always align in other places, because it's all indicative upon space and gravity. Because again, time is a man-made energetic concept. I was thinking, gravitational force. Like, what do you mean? I was thinking, does that mean that if Earth weighs more, do we experience time slower than on the moon, for example? Technically, if you were to live on the moon, it's 58 microseconds faster, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a difference, and it's because the Earth actually weighs more than the moon. So on lighter planets, time goes faster. There's not as much of a gravitational pull. So I was thinking, what if the Earth weighs more every year because of the more material and like matter that we create on Earth? What if our Earth is getting heavy because we're making stuff out of thin air with, you know, chemical compounds and stuff like that? So I'm like, are we falling behind because our planet keeps gaining weight? Could that be a thing? And with the more matter in our air, if time's going slower, that means we're evolving slower. Everything's being put behind the more matter we put up here. Now this gets even deeper into nature. If we're putting more matter here, and the matter that we're putting here, more cars, let's say, more houses, infrastructure, oils, fossil fuels, all this stuff that we're adding, all of the global warming going on is also affecting nature. There are days that I stay inside all day because of how bad the weather is. Weather can be restrictive. Weather is fear. So with all of this evolution, we are also creating so much destruction, but also at the same time, should we be creating so much material? That's really the question you have to ask yourself. Why are we creating so much 3D matter? We're keeping our world in the 3D. We're literally keeping ourselves in 3D consciousness because we keep building more 3D objects. We could actually ascend to the 5D faster if we'd stop focusing on this material world and start doing some spiritual work. Like, oh my god. Just like understanding it also from like a science perspective is just like, it's so much more rewarding because I'm like, it's not just a feeling, like it's actually, it's real. I mean, nothing's real. What is real? Let's be real. So this is my favorite part of my life and what woke me up or what made me realize stuff, or I don't know what you want to call it, but synchronicities, coincidences. There's no words. I'm going to make a whole video about my synchronicities in my life. I could cry about it. It is like unlike anyone I know in my life. I didn't know if I was gonna cry. I didn't think I was gonna be emotional, but like my life has been like kind of like a scary experience sometimes, getting signs and you don't really know like where they're coming from or why, and you're just like, this doesn't make sense. How is this so perfect? And a lot of people like to blame these things on God or something outside of them. I found out a scientific answer on how you can explain synchronicities. Okay, hey, hi, it's the next day. I was editing the video yesterday from like what I filmed, and none of what I said made sense regarding quantum entanglement, and this is a huge deal, so I'm not gonna mess it up. We are redoing this. Okay, quantum entanglement is a phenomenon where two or more particles become connected in such a way that the state of one particle is dependent on the state of another, even when the particles are separated by large distance. This means that any changes made to one particle will instantaneously affect the other, no matter the distance between them. Basically, quantum entanglement are a bunch of subatomic particles. Those are just particles of an atom, you know, protons, neutrons, electrons. They are all vibrating independently of each other, but when they become entwined and entangled, they all are vibrating together. It doesn't matter the proximity or the distance. So if our whole universe is quantum entangled, that explains God. Because we have all these moments in life where we're like, that has to be God, this can't be explained, which is my whole life of like, you know, synchronistic events. Here's a really good analogy they gave me on the internet, which I want to like put pictures up. You can pause, I don't want to waste your time. Let's say you have two entangled balls, each in its own box. In this metaphor, the balls can be either yellow or red once observed. For now, they're in a state of superposition, or both yellow and red at the same time. We're all one. It's the interconnectedness between human beings and spirituality. It's the scientific explanation of God, which I think is so cool, because it's like, I knew all this stuff because I experienced it, and the theoretics make sense, but like to have a scientific like proof, and it gets even better. This got me thinking, if quantum entanglement is the reason why we're all entangled, then what about the moon? Energy is emotions, energy and motions. If emotion comes from the moon, then can quantum entanglement take place on other planets or on the moon? And I looked it up, and this scientist, John Hurley, who I guess has a PhD in energetic engineering, literally says that it can happen. So I'm over here like, astrology's proven scientifically now. You're welcome. Because I get hits of those particles off the moon, I swear. So I'm like, what you know about the full moon though? There is no significant difference between quantum entanglement on the moon and on Earth. The principles and behaviors of entanglement remain the same regardless of location. Can quantum entanglement be observed from the moon? Yes. Quantum entanglement has been observed from the moon through experiments using photons. That means every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Like, that also goes back to Newton. Like, Einstein and Newtons are like literally homies right now. I don't even know if they know that, but like, that's so facts, because everything is connected. Like, when I make an action, it's affecting something else in the small interconnectedness of everything,
which explains parallel dimensions and time travel,
including even thoughts. Like, when you think of someone and then they call you and you haven't seen them in years and they live across the country, it's like, how do you explain that? It's the interconnectedness of all of us. Isn't that amazing? Again, like Martin Luther King says, like, I can't be who I am until you are who you ought to be. Because we're all interconnected, bro. We're all in this together vibes. Yes. High School Musical. I just want to know the purpose of like life in general. Like, that's my next question, which I may never get that question answered, but I would like to know why there's life in the first place. Why do we keep reproducing? Like, what's the point of that? Like, that's super weird, you know? I want to know, why are we all like incarnating in different beings? So yeah, I really don't know what else. I'll figure it out soon, I'm sure. Where's his epiphanies? We'll do some more chatting tomorrow for sure.